the DEA was here?
We have lanes around here, Bree, remember? Get back to your lane. Oh, that's right, I forgot. You don't have one.
I was studying this poster outside, right? There's a lot of magic contained within even the poster that indicates how juicy the show is.
Mm-hmm.
Except for a bit of ironing on my shirt.
He can't unsee his quality.
Notice that
Yeah.
lack of ironing.
Yeah.
I noticed like a face that's
Nobody
like
bothered to fix the collar.
face
on
is
my
like
shirt.
you
There's
don't
some
know my life.
attitude.
Uh-huh.
Attitude.
Yeah, you do
And
not- I would not
then
wanna.
I think I was like, he just standing there by the sea, and then oh no, he's holding a weapon.
So casual.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you haven't
Right?
seen that?
Are you just noticing for the first time?
See the
that I
way
have
the
a gun in my
light
hand?
glitters?
I'm literally just noticing the gun.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I told you, I was poring over that.
Who needs a
poster.
fishing pole when you have a Glock, you know?
Amen. New tagline. Okay, so I wrote down something that you were saying in the first episode when you were just kind of playfully saying, "What's the title of your memoir?" Mm-hmm. I wrote that down to ask you all.
Oh.
Right? What's the?
I'm stressed. That's the title of my
That's a good one. That's very relatable. I think, yeah. Ideas?
Is this it?
That's it?
That's it. That's the title. I'm in. Sold. I bought it.
Okay, so my very first movie was a horror movie. And I auditioned to be, it's a movie called Creepshow 2. It's a terrible. And I auditioned to be
Is Creepshow 2
very
the one
nice
to
watch
people
it
involved,
right
but
after
yeah.
this?
Anyway,
It's
I
actually
auditioned
really
to be
good.
a frat boy who gets eaten by a blob. Right
In the
And
raft, on the water.
It's a Stephen King based thing. You know what I mean? That was the original was directed by George Romero, but the sequel was directed by a wonderful guy who's still a friend of mine, Michael Gornick, who was George Romero's director of photography. Anyway, I auditioned to be a frat boy who gets eaten by a blob, and they said to me, "Well, you have good cheekbones." My publicist is over there looking at me like,
going, "No."
"You did not just tell
Right,
that story."
we're not gonna do that.
We were trying to forget that movie ever existed, and you just referenced it.
May I suggest
yeah.
these cheekbones save lives?
Yeah.
I like that.
It's my gift to you.
Well, thank you.
Do you know, by the way, have you realized that there's like Mindhunter mania right now on the internet? Speaking of
Okay,
which,
so look, I had a meeting in David Fincher's office a few months ago, and he said to me that there is a chance that that it may come back as 3 two-hour movies, but I think it's just a chance. I know there are writers that are working, but David has to be happy with scripts, and I recently wrote a script that he was kind enough to give me notes on, and I was in script revisions with David for 2.5 years.
Damn.
So, but he's very meticulous, which is why I think he's the best director in Hollywood. He's certainly, by anybody's measure, in the top 3 or 4. I felt very fortunate and privileged to have gotten to do that show at all. I would love it if it were to return. I think, like I said, he gave me a little bit of hope when I had that meeting with him. But the sun, the moon, and the stars would all have to align. The good news is that we're at Netflix with The Waterfront, and those movies would also be for Netflix. So I think that in terms of dates and logistics, it could all be worked out, but it has to do, with David really having the time and the inclination and being happy, with the material, and that's a big question mark.
You gotta wait for John Groff to be off the Broadway.
And we got to wait for the best actor on Broadway. And let me just give a shout out to my buddy Jonathan Groff, who was nominated for a Tony Award. And I've seen his show on Broadway just in time 4 times.
Awesome.
And the reason I've gone back 4 times is because it's the best performance I've seen on Broadway in 20 years. My father won a Tony Award on Broadway. My mother was nominated for a Tony Award on Broadway. I was born in New York City. I see everything on Broadway. This was the best performance I've seen in 20 years. He won Best Actor in a Musical last year for Stephen Sondheim's Merrily We Roll Along. Stephen Sondheim, widely considered to be the greatest composer in Broadway history. This was the only blemish on his career. When it opened in 1981, it only ran 16 performances. Jonathan resurrected it, made it a huge hit, okay, won the Tony Award for Best Actor, erased the only blemish on the career of the greatest composer in Broadway history, and then came back the following year with an even better performance. And if he was nominated for, and if he would have won this year, which he deserved to do, he would have been the only actor in Broadway history to win back-to-back Tony Awards for Best Actor.
Wow.
And he deserved it. It would have made him a legend, but I'll tell you what, he's a legend anyway, because he's got such charisma, he's got such stage presence, he's got such a beautiful voice, he's such a good actor, such a good singer, and such a great guy. You know, working with him every day like I did for 2 years, you know, was just a privilege for me, and that's one of the big reasons that I hope that Mindhunter will still come back in some form, you know, down the road.
But also maybe like a season 2 moment? I'm just saying, I don't know.
Oh, no, we're going to do at least 4 seasons of this show.
And
okay?
after that, he'll say the same thing about me.
And I'm going to I already feel the same way about you.